that you are waiting for are already growing just beneath the surface. And this episode then is for every woman who feels like progress is going too slow. Maybe you've tried lots of diets, workouts, new routines, and nothing seems to work at this stage in life. Nothing is working anymore, right? So maybe menopause has left you exhausted, frustrated, even questioning, are the best days behind me? Is this all that's going on? Am I going to feel like this for the rest of my life? So today, I want to share a story that reminds me of something essential in midlife: resilience. Real growth doesn't always happen fast, right? Or the way we expect it. Many things don't. But when you give yourself time, the right tools, which is really important, and a mindset that believes in positivity, the results can be bigger and more beautiful than you can ever have imagined. So, in this episode, we're going to talk about why resilience is so important in menopause, how to nurture it, always important, and how to recognize the quiet signs that your body and your mind are shifting, even when you can't see it. So, stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone, to the Healthy Living, Happy Midlife podcast. I'm Denise Segal, your host and the menopause mentor. Yes, also the longevity concierge, because we want to live through menopause and live for a long time. So today I'm going to share a story literally from my own backyard that taught me one of the most powerful lessons most recently about resilience, about patience, and why menopause isn't the ending, but an opportunity to grow into someone even bigger. Okay, so about 5 years ago, my husband and I planted 4 apple trees in my yard. I absolutely love apples. He hates them, though he does love apple strudel, which I think is a hoot, probably because there's a lot of sugar in it. Anyway, honestly, I never had fruit trees before. I knew they grew in Minnesota. We've got orchards around here, but I had no idea, how do they just grow on their own? What do you have to do to take care of them? Mark was great. He's like, let's buy them and we'll put them there. So we gave it a shot. And 3 of them, now remember, I had 4, 3 of them absolutely thrived. They have now, in this time, shot up from saplings, basically, to 15-foot giants. Now, one of them may actually be bigger than that. Every spring, they are covered in blossoms, and by fall, I've got so many apples, hundreds, thousands. I don't know what to do with them, right? I feed them to the deers. I give them to whoever will take them. I make an apple strudel for my husband. Usually a second one that I send to work with him. And this year I even made something for myself. I made an apple cake that was absolutely fabulous. That I may have to make another one with the 100 apples that I still have, or sorry, 200 apples that I still have in my kitchen. Anyway, I digress. But that 4th little tree, that one's right. Okay. Every year, I thought this tree's last year. It barely grew. Think of the Charlie Brown Christmas tree. This is exactly what that little tree, apple tree, looked like. Like literally, it just looked like a bunch of sticks. And that's it. A couple of leaves here and there, but never were there any blossoms. And truly, I honestly thought this tree just was not meant to be. It was a goner. This year, something different happened. That little tree gave me 3 blossoms. Yep, three whole blossoms. Right? Other trees are just totally full of them and they're beautiful. This little tree gave me 3 blossoms. And from those 3 blossoms came one. But not just any apple. It's a big, beautiful apple, twice the size of the other apples I'm going to show you. This is my big, beautiful apple from the little Charlie Brown Christmas tree. This is an apple that came from one of the other trees. You can see the size difference, right? Okay, so this is my big, beautiful apple. This is an apple from one of the other trees. Now, granted, I think they're actually the same species, but this one maybe, who knows? I picked it a little too soon. Who knows? But still, you can see there's a huge difference. So I'm still in awe of it. Like I have this one apple and like I'm afraid to eat it because it's the only one. But at this point, for this podcast, I'm going to eat this apple and I am going to enjoy it. And so truly, this tree has been struggling for years, 5 years. But when it finally bore fruit, it gave me something extraordinary. Okay. This apple is more than just an apple. It's a lesson. Growth takes time. It takes the right tools. It takes resilience. If you're in midlife, dealing with menopause, navigating menopause, this lesson is especially important for you. Why? Minnesota can feel like one of these long Minnesota winters, cold, really dark, harsh, and honestly, sometimes unforgiving, seems to go on forever, right? Your hormones are shifting, your body is changing. You don't look the same as you used to. And suddenly, maybe not so suddenly, what worked before don't work no more, right? The diet that you've been following for years. Now, by diet, I mean the food that you eat, not going on a diet, because we don't do that here at Healthy Living with Denise, right? The diet is the food that you eat, your exercise routine, maybe even your sleep habits no longer bring you the same results. That's if you're even sleeping through the night, right? You might feel like my cute little tree struggling all the time, slow to bloom, wondering again if the best days are behind you. You know, am I going to feel like this? Is it going to get any better? Here's the thing. Resilience is the key to getting through this season of life stronger. Research shows that women who build resilience through mindset, through support, and lifestyle experience fewer symptoms and more vitality. Well, some of those symptoms, is it night flashes, hot flashes, night sweats, um, resilience, mindset work, all of that helps because you know if you're in the middle of a hot flash and you're going, oh God, I'm having a hot flash, it makes it worse. Like your whole mindset around it makes it worse. The whole mindset around menopause in itself, you know, this is a transition in my life. This is a new change. This is a new chapter, right? These are very positive mindset changes that actually promote longevity and vitality, right? How you approach something like menopause is going to absolutely affect your result. Okay. Now, resilience doesn't erase the winter, right? I mean, we're still dealing with the storm and all of the stuff that comes with menopause, but it equips us with an ability to get through it and maybe even come out the other side. Let's just say producing our own version of this Big Apple, which is kind of funny because I'm from New York, I'm from the Big Apple, and I really now have this Big Apple I'm so proud of. But in you know all joking aside, um, where we are today, you know, I'm 54 years old. So at 54, my life expectancy is at least 30 years. It could be 34 years. It could be 40 years. I mean, I potentially could live to 90. So menopause is just a blip compared to where you know, the longevity, the life that I have still to live. And my mindset absolutely can make or break that, right? We know this. We see this in so many people, in many, many women, right? Those people who approach menopause with a more positive, accepting mindset do so much better than people that grumble about it and get frustrated by it. Yes, it can be frustrating. I get that. I mean, shoot, I've been doing this for 17 years. I'm still dealing with menopausal symptoms, right? I'm 4 years post-menopause. Yeah, guys, they still happen. You know, hot flashes still happen. You know, trouble sleeping still happens post-menopause. But again, it's the tools that I have cultivated that I will love to help you cultivate. Hopefully, I'm doing that with when you're listening to my podcast episodes. It's really about cultivating the tools and the mindset that is going to help you to live this next phase of your life with vitality, with energy, with joy, and with some curiosity too, right? So when I look back to my little apple tree, Um, three things that made a difference. So of course, the reference is the apple tree, but really it's about the lesson learned here, right? What are the difference? Time, tools, and belief. Time. That tree needed 5 years to produce fruit. The others produced in 2 years. Okay, maybe the first year weren't so great. The second year was better. So really, by the third year, they were doing amazing. And this year, I had the best harvest ever. Way too many apples. But truly, it took 5 years for this tree to produce fruit. Not 5 months, 5 years. Your body is kind of the same, right? It needs time to recalibrate. Um, Healing and balance with inflammation and with our hormones, these aren't things that happen right away. Oh, I'm going to think about it and my hormones are going to be balanced. I'm going to try this. I'm going to have eat a cleaner diet. Oh, and my hormones are going to be balanced. It takes time, right? Um, it's more like, change comes in inches, not miles. Um, the next thing that are key factors here are the tools. What were the tools this tree needed? It needed water. We actually had a ton of water this year. We had a lot of rain. So maybe in the past it wasn't getting enough water, right? Who knows? But it got a ton of water, ton of sunshine, good soil. We know that. And actually it needed some protection from the brutal Minnesota winters. We make sure we wrap the base of the tree. Part of that is for weather. Part of it is also to keep the deer away from it, right? So that's another tool that we use, right? In menopause, our tools look more like this: whole foods, eat real food, move more, weightlifting, resistance training, rest, hormone support, hormone support, stress relief, and a positive environment, right? Positive home environment, positive work environment. Um, it's easier to control those than a positive outside environment, right? There's so many things going on in the world, right? And you have to be able to tune those things out, right, in order to protect your mindset, your ability to relieve stress. Uh, and in during menopause, like these quick fixes we used to be able to do in our 30s, maybe even in our early 40s, they just do not work. Now, if it's a diets never worked. Okay, they may have worked short term, you may have lost weight, but what happened after that? You went back to the way you were eating regularly, and you gain the weight back, right? Probably even more. So again, quick fixes are not going to work. What works is consistent nourishment, nourishing your body, nourishing your mind, nourishing your spirit, right? Of course, the third thing is mindset, right? There is a belief here. I didn't cut the tree down because it wasn't growing. Actually, it was kind of cute. It was my Charlie Brown tree, right? Even though it seemed pretty much helpless, it was never going to do anything. Like it was a hopeless case, right? Except it turned out that it wasn't, right? I believed in that little tree. It was just cute, right? So I let it be. In the same way, a growth mindset helps us engage in our own health in a better way, believing that energy, clarity, and balance are still possible, right? During menopause. What's even more important is it helps us to stay the course, because nothing's ever just a smooth road, right? There's always detours and bumps and all sorts of things, potholes in along the way, along the journey, right? And this is we're talking long term here. So if we start now with a positive mindset, we can look at our mental, physical, and emotional health in a very different way. Menopause is a time in our life, right? It's natural, it's biological, it happens to every woman. Sorry, it just does. Some of us deal with it a little bit longer and a little bit more, have a little bit more difficulty with it than others. I know women who have never had a hot flash. I love them, but that pisses me off because I still have them. Anyway, one of the people who is a high end, not high end person, what's the word I'm looking for? an expert in mindset is Carol Dweck. Now, I'm sure you've probably heard of her. You know, she wrote this amazing book about fixed mindset versus growth mindset, right? Her work on growth mindset shows that our abilities absolutely are not fixed. We can expand and grow with effort and belief, right? But we have to believe, we have to put effort into it. Nothing just happens, oh, I wish this was the way it is. No, that's great. Wishing and hoping and whatever, however that song goes, that's great, except it's a song. And in real life, we need to put some effort into our health and our wellness. There's a researcher named Aaliyah Crum, and she has shown that even how we think about stress changes how our body responds to it, right? So we all deal with stress. I mean, if you put the TV on, oh my God, stress, you put the Today Show on in the morning, what is it all about? All the horrible things that are going on in the world. Yes, that is stressful. But if you look at it as, okay, I just need the information, that's it, without getting emotional about it. It's the emotions that actually really create the stress that tends to grow and really at some point gets it to a point where we are overly stressed and like our cortisol levels keep rising, and we have that flight or fight experience happening all the time, right? It's the stress that we actually are bringing on ourselves. Yes, there's stress in life, we know that, but if we can think about stress in a different way, your body is going to respond in a different way. And during menopause, this is so important because our bodies are doing wacky things anyway, right? Isn't this an incredible thought? Like, just how you think about stress can change the way you manage stress. Um, to me, it means that your mindset this isn't just fluffy stuff. We're talking, oh, we have to work on our mindset. This is actually something that changes your physiology. Pretty exciting, right? Menopause is biological. Physiologically, this is something that is chemically happening in your body, and you can control it. So let's talk about some of the other experts out there, what they talk about when it comes to mindset. Um, this is from Steve Maraboli. Oh, can't think of, I forget where I found Steve, where I connected with Steve Maraboli. But he says, life doesn't get easier or more forgiving. We get stronger and we get more resilient. Hey, life doesn't get easier as we get older. When was it easy? It was easy when we were 5, right? At 54, it's not as easy. Yeah, I mean, there are things in life that, especially in my life, they're a piece of cake, right? There are things in my life that are not such a piece of cake. Dealing with menopause, dealing with nights when I'm not sleeping, that is not easy, but I'm much more resilient, and I have the tools to manage this. And such a big part of it is my mindset over it. Resilience is accepting your new reality, menopause, even if it's less good than what you had before. Yeah, I didn't have night sweats and hot flashes and mood swings and all that nonsense before perimenopause, right? Well, some of those a lot less now in postmenopause. But when you're putting, when you look at it, yeah, it's maybe not as good as before. It's different than before, right? You're putting something together though, it's just as good. It's different. That's all. It's just different. Um, Resilience provides mental protection, helping us to adapt and thrive despite the challenges. Life is a challenge. Menopause is a challenge. Menopause is a challenge. Well, why? Because it's just part of life, right? Give it a name, challenge, it's an opportunity. It is what it is, right? It's happening. So the way we think about it, the way we manage it is going to basically change the way it affects us. These are things that don't just remind us that resilience isn't, it's not about bouncing back to who you used to be, right? Your old self. You're not going to be your old 30-year-old self. Sorry, just not going to happen, right? But you can be your best 54-year-old self, right? It's about creating a stronger, wiser, more resilient you. So let's go back to my apple. Go back to the apple. Do, do, do. Because that little apple tree didn't give up. That tree gave me something extraordinary, right? I think the same is true for you. These are some of the thoughts that I have around my cute little apple tree. Even if progress still feels slow, it's still progress. We're not looking for perfection here. One day at a time, a little better today, tomorrow than we were yesterday. Each day, a little better, a little more, right? What feels like delay isn't necessarily being denied to you, right? It's just taking a little longer. That's a great mindset thought, right? With patience, with nourishment, always go back to eat real food, mental, physical, emotional nourishment. Your results can be even better and more beautiful than you ever imagined. Now, imagine if I pulled that tree up, after 3 years and say, it's done. It's never going to make it. Little Charlie Brown tree, sad little thing. I wouldn't have this big, beautiful apple. That and I wouldn't have something to talk about today about resilience and my cute little apple. So don't give up on yourself in menopause. Again, this is just a phase. It gets better. It gets different, right? You're not going to deal with flashes and all of that stuff for the rest of your life. Again, it's the tools, it's the mindset. And don't assume that this season of life means decline. Again, it's change. Maybe, coming up in this year, in this month, in this next 2 years, your big apple is waiting for you. So here's the other side of the story, right? If you don't give yourself time, the right tools, and a supportive mindset, what happens? What do you risk? Settling for symptoms that you can improve. I hear so often, oh, I want to do it naturally. Okay, fine. Yeah, you can do menopause naturally, but you need support. You need the right support, whether it's nutrition, whether it's supplementation, whether it's coaching, you need support. This isn't something to just deal with on your own, right? Um, Another thing you risk is that internal belief that midlife is a decline and that it's inevitable. I don't know about you, but in my midlife, I'm doing great. I'm getting ready to go for a run. I run a couple times a week, 3, 4 times a week. I work out twice a week with my weights. I have a personal trainer who I've been following for years. Thank you, Deb Atkinson, who is keeping me in great shape. Yes, I did lose 20 pounds. I had gained some weight. I was struggling at one point 2 years ago with some weight gain that I hadn't experienced for a while. I'm back to my healthy weight range and back in clothes I hadn't worn in 2 years. Right. So again, these are the tools that I was able to bring into my life because I don't think that midlife is a decline. And I don't want you to think that either. Right. Decline is the day that we die. We've declined then. We're not living anymore. There's no more longevity then. There's a long time between 54 and 84, even 90. So think about that. How long do you want to live? How long do you want to feel good in those years? Of course you do, right? Another mindset thing that you risk if you don't change your mindset and get the right tools, you're going to miss out on all the confidence and energy that comes with balance. Now, nothing's ever perfectly balanced. I mean, hormones are never really balanced. I mean, we've known this since we started getting our periods, right, ladies? But balance, it's more even than so wildly up and down. And that's not just your hormones, it's your mindset, it's your life, it's your workouts, it's your diet being the food that you're eating, right? And it's important to remember if this is where you're stuck right now, this is where you are right now, you don't have to stay stuck there. You can make these changes. You're not too old. I hear people say that all the time. Oh, I'm 53. I'm so old. And I'm like, when I'm 90, I might be saying, oh, I'm getting older, right? I'm not old. I'm 54. I'm not old. I'm older than I was, but guess what? So's everybody else, right? So here's some practical takeaways for you guys. Um, Let me think of how I want to say this. What does it look like to be the gardener of your own life, of your own midlife? What do you do? These are practical steps that you can take, right? Number one, you plant the seed. Okay, in my case with the apple trees, I planted a sapling, but you plant the seed. You set the intention for what you want, how you want to feel. Nourish yourself. Whole foods, eat real food, everyone. Rest, movement, strength training, a positive, supportive community. Trust that delayed blossoms, progress, your progress is happening. Just because it's taking a little long doesn't mean that progress isn't happening, even if you don't see it yet. Reframe challenges. I actually hate the word challenge. Like, it really symptoms and symptoms of menopause are signals. They're not decline. You're not failing. You're not, too old. All of those things that we hear people say, women say in this stage of life. Let's just reframe that whole conversation, right? If you're starting to get hot flashes, if you start to get mood swings, all of a sudden your skin is itchy, you have things, just weird stuff going on. You know your body better than anybody in the world. So stop and try to figure out what the symptoms are telling you. Could be you're in perimenopause, could be you're in that menopause year. You don't actually know until it's 12 months after you have your last period. So who knows, right? This piece I think is really important. Celebrate the small fruits. Every win proves that you're moving closer to the big apple. So I guess in closing here, what I want you to remember is that menopause isn't the end of vitality. It's the beginning of a new season of life. Just like my little tree, you already have what it takes to bloom. With time, with the right tools, a resilient mindset, and the right support, you can transform any kind of struggle into strength and produce the results that may absolutely surprise you. So let me ask you this. Are you ready to cultivate your resilience and discover your own big apple? If so, I'd love to help. Schedule a call with me and let's create your personalized plan to thriving in menopause because this is your season to grow, to flourish, and ladies, to soar. So thanks for listening to Healthy Living Happy Midlife podcast. I'm Denise Stegall, menopause mentor. I'll see you next time. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Healthy Living Happy Midlife. My hope is that today's conversation left you inspired, encouraged, and ready to take the next step toward creating a vibrant, fulfilling life that you deserve. Remember, you don't have to settle for fatigue, brain fog, or frustration. Midlife is not the end of your story. It's the doorway to your next best chapter. And I'm here to help you walk through it with energy, with confidence, and with joy. So if you're ready to take this journey further, I invite you to schedule a free strategy call with me. The link is in the show notes. And together we'll design a plan that works for you at this time in your life, for your body. So be sure to subscribe, rate, and review the show on your favorite podcast platform. Catch the video version on YouTube so you never miss another episode. Share it with a friend who needs to hear that midlife can truly be the most powerful season of her life. Until next time, I'm Denise Stegall, reminding you that healthy living, happy midlife is just possible. It's yours for the